All right, folks. We called it. We called it for months, and now it's here. The 200-week moving average. Gosh, it's been at least, I think, 3 months. First, I'd called it for ARKK to hit that 275 was the initial support, and it went down after that. And then we called it for SPY. I'm calling it for Apple. By the way, Apple is $100 at the 200-week moving average. Everybody on social media, everyone on Bloomberg TV, all I hear about is a 200-week moving average, 200-week moving average, 350, 350, 350. That's all I heard all day long yesterday. So people recognize that it's the support level now that we're very close to it. But, we saw it come in when SPY was like well over $400. So in addition to that, recession I started talking about in November, and everyone laughed at me. Some people, even in my own community. And now everyone is basically accepting that a recession is coming. So now that we're here, what happens? Okay, there are lots of opinions, right? In terms of, wow, we're so oversold. We're due for a bounce. We're due for a bounce. Listen, anything can happen in regards to bounces. And I do want to remind people today is Quad Witching Friday, which can result in really unexpected moves because people are repositioning expiring options and futures contracts. So some things that don't make sense could happen on Quad Witching Friday. I want to warn people of that. I also want to let people know that Monday the markets close for like Juneteenth Day. I don't even know what that is, and I don't ever remember being closed for it before. I hope that information is accurate. I Googled it this morning and it seems it is, but for some reason my app doesn't have a note here that we're closed on Monday. Usually I get those. So that's but assuming the markets close on Monday, combining that with Quad Witching Friday, we could be in for some extraordinary volatility today. Personally, I continue to have a downward bias because I am more impacted by fundamentals and technicals, and especially on a 3-day weekend, the Friday before 3-day weekend. I can't imagine why people want to go long, except again, maybe the quad witching causes some people to go long. But I would be more surprised if we're up than down, right? I think the chances are good that we have some great volatility towards the downside later this afternoon in SPY, QQQ, ARKK. Now, bringing up ARKK, I do want to note that this has held its previous low of 35.10, and I've been speculating or hoping for a while that perhaps the risk assets may be bottoming first. And so far, it's holding. I don't know if it's going to hold continuously, like for good. But listen, SPY and QQQ keep hitting new lows, new lows, new lows every day, while RK is still above that 35.10. That could be a sign, not necessarily that the bottom's in, but this divergence we're seeing now could be a sign that RK will have its ultimate bottom before SPY and QQQ does. That's how I read it. Now, there is, if you remember, I had shared charts comparing ARKK to .com when ARK was like $70, $80 or so. I was sharing those charts and forecasting that we could go down to the mid 30s level based on the uncanny path that was so similar to the .com bust, Nasdaq and the .com bust. And Vince had privately sent me in our community an updated chart this morning on comparing it to the .com, and it continued matching it exactly. And if it were to continue to match it exactly, then this would be the bottom for ARKK. I think from here there was a huge pop. Like if it were to follow it, it'd be like 35 to 60, then back down to 35, but ultimately it held the bottom. Is that what's going to happen here? Maybe. Don't know. Okay. What I really do think, though, is the major indices, SPY and QQQ, let's say if we do hold 350 at the 200-week moving average, I think it'll be temporary. Now, how long is temporary? Is it days, weeks, or months? Is it quarters? All of the above are possible. I think the next shoe to drop that will take SPY well below the 350 is going to be Apple. We're going down significantly towards its 200-week moving average, and that'll be fueled by fundamentals and guidance revisions, or maybe the street will even be ahead of the guidance revisions in terms of profit. I think it's inevitable. I could be wrong. That's what I think. Apple's going to get a 100, and SPY QQQ will go down further. The only question is, what's the path there? Are there bear market rallies before it gets there? Is 350 going to be significant support for weeks or not? There's even an opinion out there from our good old friend Rex Man that says it's very possible that SPY can have almost like a historic meltdown here in the next few days, and with a possible target of 300 is something that Rex is possibly looking at as well. So lots of uncertainty, lots of volatility in the major indices. I also want to point out Bitcoin I've been tracking because Bitcoin is a leading indicator of what can happen with risk assets in the States. And this is not just some like, you know, BS. Like there's a reason, there's a logic behind it, right? It's not just like superstition or something. Oh, let's look at Bitcoin. The reason it works is because Bitcoin is the ultimate risk asset. And if you see risk aversion with Bitcoin, that's a sign it's going to hit Bitcoin first. But then what's it going to come to? It's going to go to the next high quality assets after that, which is going to be like the ARKK kind of stocks, the risk assets in the stock market, and then eventually it goes to the rest of the market. So Bitcoin is often a leading indicator. So this is just BITO, but if you look at a Bitcoin chart, I've been saying that 18,000 is a critical support. Now, I know 20,000 has been acting as critical support. I think that's because they rounded up to 18 to 20. It's a psychological level. But if you look on the chart, 18,000 was very, very strong resistance in December 2017. And then 18,000 was the breakout level in December 2020. So personally, that's what I'm looking at in terms of if I think Bitcoin is probably going to test that level. First of all, 18,000. And then if it fails, I think we could be in for like 7 to 15,000 in Bitcoin. And hopefully that'll be the ultimate bottom on that. But that's a leading indicator. And if that happens, that's something to watch. You could potentially get an edge in the market if you see Bitcoin crashing or something like that. You know, you might want to be careful about risk assets in the market, ARKK, et cetera, UVXY might be something, you know, that could have a good reaction on a little bit of a delay if you see Bitcoin crashing. So anyway, that's all to watch for. By the way, Bitcoin, some news out on crypto. Another firm, it was Celsius before we knew about, that was having trouble, but now Babel, I saw a note this morning we put in our VIP group. Babel is now freezing withdrawals of Bitcoin or something like that. So I don't know exactly what Babel does, but that's something that could be. And in fact, since that news came out, you can see that Bitcoin's been down. So that may be impacting it. All right. Something I want to point out, Adobe beat guidance, both on the top and bottom, but they revised guidance lower. Their guidance is lower than street estimates, and the stock is down 5% to new lows in this cycle. And the reason I bring this up is because to me, this is now we're beginning to see signs of actual like recession. Before it was, you know, it starts with consumer discretionary. I had said that Netflix was the first sign that consumer discretionary is softening demand. I'd predicted it long before that. And I've been saying that I think Apple is going to be hit very hard with decreased consumer discretionary. So that's why I'm more bearish Apple than a stock like Microsoft, because maybe you can have a demarcation where the consumer discretionary does poor, but the economy is saved before it gets really bad and goes into business-to-business tools, productivity tools, things like that. Now, Adobe is not consumer discretionary. This is software that's necessary to conduct business. Now, you may have a lot of small entrepreneurs and such who also use Adobe products. And now that we see guidance being reduced, I think that could be a sign that it's now starting to hit businesses, and we are seeing layoffs happening. I think we know coin layoff. I saw something about Tesla layoffs this morning, and I think independent contractors, entrepreneurs, things like that may be seeing slowing business or worried about that. So that's a little bit of a dangerous sign, I think. I think this Adobe guidance going down, you know, you might want to, I wonder what Microsoft is doing this morning in reaction to Adobe, because I see them as similar. It's up today. I don't know. Maybe it's time to think about shorting Microsoft. Microsoft may also be headed to the 200-week moving average. So, man, lots of macro stuff to think about there. Now, few individual stocks I want to talk about. First, VTSI I did add a number of trading shares yesterday. I think this will probably get picked up at some point by the traders and the community. I mean, the CNN spot was just too good. If you didn't see it, hop on over to youtube.com/storytrading and you can see the little piece we did and the full link to the CNN video. But this is a stock that has good fundamentals. I was holding anyway. Now this is a huge sentiment booster. And by the way, I don't know. I don't know if CNN was just making this up or the company was telling them, but they threw in some nuggets in there about, the number of units they're selling and how it's growing rapidly, right? So I don't know. Do they just say that for TV? Or are they just assuming, or did a representative of VTSI tell them that units of was very interesting? And I'm going to continue to hold a VTSI position, not only my core that I've held for a long time, but I added trading shares at 476 yesterday. So we'll see what happens with that. Just wanted to inform you of some news of ROKU. I'm not in it. I don't know this company well, but they had some news with Walmart to allow e-commerce shopping directly on the platform. So, and that's why ROKU is popping. You can take a look at that if you're interested. Revlon, an interesting one. This company went bankrupt, and now this morning, some white knight coming out from India, oil and gas conglomerate or something in India wants to get into makeup. So I don't know what that means for the stock, though. How much value will there be left for equity holders, even if they come in and save the company out of bankruptcy? I don't know how all of that works. Highly risky unless you're an expert in this area. But man, that's some interesting price action there. And I don't know, if I was just to guess, I would say even if someone were to buy this, why would it be worth over the 20 DMA? I'm not playing it, but you can do what you want. All right. Who knows what's happening there? Now, I want to mention a couple other things. CFVI had some news this morning. Combination partner Rumble proposes open source content moderation policy. Okay. This is interesting because this is the terminology Elon Musk has been using regarding moderation on Twitter and what needs to happen on Twitter. I actually feel there's a possibility that they developed this and put this PR out on purpose to get Elon Musk's attention. And we've seen that Chris Pavlovsky and Rumble, they're very savvy at social media and getting attention. And I actually already put a tweet out there from the StoryTrading account talking about this and tagging Elon Musk, Rumble, and Chris Pavlovsky on it. And already Chris Pavlovsky and Rumble have liked the tweet. I don't know, since then, maybe they've retweeted it. I have to check. But the fact that they liked it so quickly tells me I'm on the ball here. I'm correct on this, that part of the motivation was to attract Elon's attention. I'm sure they wouldn't mind if Elon invested in Rumble. And I'm sure they wouldn't mind if Elon talked about Rumble and the stock price went up. So in any case, I don't think that's a reason to buy the stock. I did buy it last week at like 1035 or something, and it's down because I thought we're getting close to $10, and the risk reward is good in case there's a catalyst or an announcement. But I'm not sure this is a reason to buy it. But I put this high up on my watch list in case we do get Elon Musk commenting or interacting with Rumble on a tweet. Then the thing can pop a buck and a half in a matter of seconds. I want to have this high on my watch list so I could sell some shares potentially if that happens. Okay. KODK has been very, very strong. And I don't know what's going on. We've scoured everywhere we could, and we could not find any reason for this, not even retail chatter. So to me, this is not even trading groups. This kicked off with heavy volume on June 14th, and it's continued on lower volume. But I think this whole price action bucking the market trend probably is big money here. Either one of two things. They just got done with their research, so it's not timed with any new nuggets or new things coming out. It took time for a fund to do the research, and now they want to get in. Or maybe some inside information has leaked and some big entity with deep pockets knows about it. Something like that. Or they put two and two together. It's always not necessarily illegal when it's inside info. They may have inferred something that's coming soon based on other publicly available data. But whatever it is, I think this is institutional action. I still own it. We see we're above the 50 DMA. It's tough to imagine this goes in a bad red market day, but it's been doing that on with a bad market. So I don't know. The next resistance is 560-ish at the 200-week moving average. I probably will either take some off the table there or sell covered calls at 560. Okay, could always go higher, but in this market, I'm way overexposed to equities. I do need to raise some cash, and that's a good spot to do it if it does touch the 200-week moving average. I want to mention LLKF because this was a standout yesterday with most lithium stocks down, but LLKF was up. Tony in our community turned us on to this ticker, and he said there was some important news on this. It's not even in the news feeds. It was posted on Facebook via a video, some decision by uh, country, Bolivia, I think, that they were chosen along with 5 other lithium companies, whittled down from, I think, initially a many dozen, uh, for some lithium project. Knows the company very well, Tony, from our community, and he thinks this is very, very bullish for the company, and that explains why the stock has been up here, maybe 15, 20% this week, even though other lithium stocks have continued to drop. So that's what's going on with LLKKF. I do have a position in that. I'm just holding in my IRA. Twitter, I'm just monitoring because of Elon Musk's meeting over at Twitter headquarters this week. I don't know. I'm not playing it. I don't know if or when I will play this. It just seems so volatile and so risky, but I'm keeping an eye on it. And who knows if I do something there or not, but that's always a very interesting story. And DRIO, this is a fake ask, 100 shares or something at 7. Don't worry about that. So I'm just continuing to wait. June 30th, June 17th is now. So if they want to follow through on their word, they got to have this big insurer out by June 30th. Maybe give them until July 1st. I don't know. But things rarely happen exactly on time. But in this case, they've been curiously, adamantly insisting that it's still happening this quarter. Now, I don't know, to some extent, are they saying that because they said that on the conference call and they're not allowed to deviate from it? You know, I've been checking in with them every now and then. Every time there's some news that's coming out, they did the offering. I mean, not the offering, but got the non-dilutive line of credit. There's some other news before that. So I'm like, hey, guys, are we still on track? And they're like, yeah, absolutely. So are they saying that because legally they have to say that? Because they can't tell me anything different? Because that's what they said on the conference call? I don't know. That's possible. But, I like to think I can interpret, language and tone. And when I interpret the language and tone, from what I'm hearing from management, it seems genuine to me. It doesn't seem like they're just saying the company line because that's what they said on the conference call. It really seems like they really believe this is happening by the end of this month. So I don't know. Like, if it happens, I think the stock goes over 770 and heads to 10. But who knows? It depends where the stock is at the time, and if the market crashes a la Rexman style to like 300 or something. Did I tell you about that? Rex is thinking there's a possibility this thing can crash to 300, the SPY, within a few days. If something like that happens, then DRIO probably goes to under 5, at least temporarily. And then when he released the great news, where does it go? So it's important where the stock is before the news is released. If we're able to hold this key 50 DMA level right here, I think that we will quickly challenge and probably exceed that 770 level upon such an announcement that we're waiting for. And then beyond that, maybe we get all the way to 200 DMA in a post-event run over there on DRIO. And that's about it. A couple other stocks I'm monitoring, CERN, XCLB. Don't really have time to get deep into those, but we will take. I'm way behind schedule on this. This is 20 minutes, but in any case, we're closed Monday, apparently. We'll see. I still want to wait for that banner from TD Ameritrade to say we're closed Monday, but I guess that means no show on Sunday night. We'll probably do something Monday night for our VIP members, so stay tuned for that. And have a great day, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.